Hello and welcome to episode 15 of Lost in Chronologically Lost, where today we're going to only be covering one episode, September 22nd, 2004, part 1. So we're getting to just right up before that plane crash.
Oh yeah, I mean, we saw them get on the plane.
They got on the plane. They are now on the plane.
You know, something just occurred to me as you said that. You ever seen the Friends finale?
I have not. I know what happens in it, though.
The whole idea is that, like, please, I hope she got off the plane. And then she's like, I got off the plane. And,
I
saw
the end
it's
scene.
also 2004, and I'm just like, man, if only any of these people had a will they or won't they romance with someone over 10 years where they finally convinced them to not leave, and they got off the plane.
Unfortunately, everything that happens to these people, though, it leads them to get on the plane, even if it's their good emotional resolution.
Yeah.
So we begin with, it's like 5 a.m., and Michael is arguing with Walt because he's watching Power Rangers very loud.
Yeah. See, I'm like surprised because, like, I don't know, when I was Walt's age, I was like a get up at 6 a.m. kid, and he's even earlier than that.
Yeah, I probably would have gotten up at 5, but my mom made a rule that we weren't allowed to leave our rooms until 6, so...
Oh, I wonder why.
Yeah.
I think Michael would understand why.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to mention, I think the clock said 5:23, and it's like, so he turned on the show...
in the middle.
At 5:23, which I think there was fighting going on in the Power Rangers thing, right? Which would make sense. He turned it on during the climax of the episode.
Yeah, I have to wonder. It's 2004. I think I was still watching Power Rangers at this time, but
I never really watched it.
Yeah, I only watched 2 shows of it. I think 2004 still would have been Wild Force. I think so.
Was that good? Does Walt have good taste?
I remember it being good, but I watched it as a kid, and the only person I know who's like a Power Rangers aficionado, she says that Wild Force was actually pretty bad because it was super overly preachy with environmental themes.
Wow.
Which I did not remember any of as a kid. So
no, they did not make you internalize that.
Not at all.
That's why you're such a polluter.
Was how cool the White Ranger was because he was special and didn't show up till halfway through.
Was he the 6th Ranger of that show?
I think he was evil at first, and then he joined later.
Oh yeah, you love the evil guys.
Yeah, and he had a special cool helmet, so
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Michael is like, turn it down, please, and Walt turns it up. He's like, Brian lets me watch it as loud as I want, and this was more of the whole Michael and Walt situation that just sucks.
Yeah, it's the truth is that really these people don't know each other, which is unfortunate, but that's the situation.
And it's neither of their faults.
No, it's all Susan's fault. Let's blame her.
Oh, yeah. And it's also Brian's fault.
It doesn't even sound like it, because he said he didn't even want to adopt Walt. He just...
I think Brian could have helped them transition better here.
Oh, absolutely.
Instead of just throwing it to Michael.
Yeah, that's very true.
Like, even if you want to stop being there for him, like, you could totally just, like, do what a decent person would and help a bit.
Yeah, but I guess he's not a decent... Well, he's a lawyer, so of course he's not a decent person.
Hey, that's not... Alright, come on now.
Right, so then we get Sawyer at the police station.
Yeah, and he broke the guy's mug.
Yeah.
And so I love the line, it's like, he's got in a bar fight and he's like, ain't that a badge of honor in this country? Roasted, Australia.
Oh, Australia. I want to roast Australia, but pretty much the only television I watch is trash reality TV television, and Australia is so much better at that than the US. So, props to Australia.
Alright. Anyway.
You're better at sticking people on an island than Americans are.
Yeah, well, that's the origin of Australia.
Yeah.
Well, so he headbutted a minister of agriculture, so yeah, he's getting deported.
Yeah, so that's why he's on this plane, which is just like...
Yeah,
he's probably glad he's being deported from Australia, because now there's less of a chance he'll be caught for the murder.
Yeah, this is like a good resolution. And also just, I've mentioned last episode with Saeed stuff, it makes me stressed to see, like, oh, is he going to be found out for stuff? And with Sori here, it's like, yeah, the police know all the crimes he committed. It's on record, but he served his time and he got out of jail. So it's kind of satisfying to see this. Like, yeah, they know nothing they can do about it.
Yeah, and this made me think because I know a lot of these quick little scenes of people getting on the plane. They either came at the very tail end of one of their flashbacks, or the finale of season 1 was a two-parter, and they showed lots of little snippets of just everyone right before they got on the plane, as like a shared kind of thing. And so, yeah, a lot of them are sort of season 1 things where they're just wrapping up the very little loose end as to how this person got on this specific plane. So we have Kate with the marshal, and the security is asking why he has to have 5 guns.
Which, he is really rubbing it in. I mean, this was over the course of years. I can understand that, catching his white whale criminal meant something to him, because he is just like, he's being a dick.
Oh, yeah. And I like the way that he explains the whole bank robbery thing. He leaves out the part where she shot the guy, not because she was done using him, because he was going to kill someone. Like,
honestly, just with the whole Kate thing, I don't care that much about her little plane thing.
The point is just that it's important to her.
That's kind of just the weak link of her backstories in general for me. But, I mean, he's definitely, like, baiting her hard.
Oh, yeah, because he wants to prove why he needs 5 guns.
Well, 2 things, actually.
And
2 things to do with bait.
Here because he likes to.
First of all, he baited her, like, he was the one who put the airplane in the safety deposit box. And I don't think, like, I get his plan there, because I think that would be to catch her. But then he wasn't there. They didn't catch her at all. They didn't accomplish anything from that.
I think he thought that she would go through some routes, or because again, they mentioned that she was calling him, right? That she would try and call and get more information, and then they could track her down sort of that way. But instead, she'd kind of just on her own figured out which bank, which deposit box, got one of the keys,
Yeah. Alright, he underestimated her.
Yeah.
But then, so the other bait is that he keeps saying, what was that guy's name again? When he knows it, he's just trying to make her say it when, like, she caused his death. That was... I mean, if you really want to make someone mad at you, that's an effective way to do it.
Yeah, that's a good way. Then we get Jack arguing with, like, the check-in receptionist clerk lady.
Which, I didn't catch everything in this scene because we got a triple screen moment.
Yeah. Luckily, there's no dialogue in the triple screen. It's just one dialogue, but...
So Jack, he needs the coffin there even without the paperwork because he wants this to be over with. He can't take this being drawn out. And I guess that's the main point of Jack's part. Ana Lucia, I think it's just her hearing Jack.
Yeah, see, I would have to check this. I'm not sure, but... well, this won't apply to you because they've shown lots of Ana Lucia. I believe Ana Lucia wasn't introduced as a character fully until season 2, but I think these scenes at the airport where she talks to Jack, I think that was in the finale of season 1, and it was like a tease as to who's going to show up in season 2.
See, I think you had mentioned to me she was like a character not introduced in season 1, or like not fully.
Right.
And because of that, I was thinking like, but she is on the plane, then like how are they gonna like justify like, oh, she was on the island, we just never saw her, and then I realized they totally can just say, they could just say, oh, she fell in a different location and was surviving there and then found the main cast, but it's still like kind of weird to me that I expected everybody on the plane to at least be a season 1 character.
Well, here's the thing, is there will be one episode that showed a flashback just to what everything Anna was doing during season 1, but you're going to see that chronologically, so it'll make way more sense.
Oh, okay. That's nice. That's a nice upside.
Yeah, so it'll feel like she's been there the whole time.
Anyway, then the Jin part is, Jin is in line and Sun is watching. And I think this is the moment where she could have walked away, but she sees he has the flower, and it's that callback to, oh, like when all I needed was a flower. And she's just like, she can't do it. She loves him, and damn.
Right, so here's the thing. That was sort of the capper to the very first flashback. And that was only from Sun's perspective, where we just saw, like, Jin with bloody hands and being rude and dismissive to her. And, when you see this originally, I remember seeing this originally, I was like, no, you should have left him, he's terrible. But then now knowing the entire context, it's like, oh, okay, good, she stayed, thank God. Like,
yeah.
go
this
rekindle your relationship on an island somewhere.
I'm glad that it was her choice. I'm glad it's not like she messed up her escape and was stuck on the plane with him. I'm glad she wanted to go for it. Like, this puts us this is the right setup for what'll happen on the island where they get it together.
Right, and I just also want to point out, they have such good musical scoring for this scene. And we haven't really seen a lot of it in these flashbacks, but Lost in general does have really, really good scoring. And, like, I believe the guy who scored the show also went on to score the movie Up as well. The Disney movie. Or is that Pixar?
I think that's Pixar.
Yeah, so he's
Same
he's
thing.
very good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really notice the music. But in some ways it's good when the music, sometimes you notice the music when it's bad, so it's good when that happens.
Yeah,
I should be paying more
There's one song they'll use a couple times throughout the show that I absolutely hate. And I see other people love it, and I don't like it.
I mean, sometimes
it'll show up in the next episode, so
we don't always have the same music taste, so maybe I'll
I
like
can see this being a song you love, and I know why. So.
You know what? Oh, okay. Is it a faster, energetic, aggressive song?
Nope.
Okay, that's what I would have thought you would think I'd like correctly. Or is it a piano song?
No, I like the piano songs they have.
Yeah. Yeah, I like piano. See? Alright, well, we'll see. No. Anyway, we get Shannon. No.
We get Anna.
We get Anna Lucia.
Who is calling her mother.
And she's like, I want to go home, Mommy. Which is just the whole, she's ready to come home and reconcile.
Yeah, and she says she made a mistake with everything. Which is just, and her mom just says, you know what, yep, come home, I'll come pick you up. It'll be fine. And it's so tragic because this is just like, she's come around fully as a person. Yeah. But she's about to then get thrown into this island world.
I mean, it's like what we see with Hurley later. They milk these things where it's like there are things that they are missing out on because the plane crashes.
Yeah, like Hurley's going to miss his mom's.
The entire Hurley scene is like his
going
mom's
to
birthday.
not be able to deliver the body for his father's funeral.
Yeah, they're pulling at us. Anyway, then we get Shannon, where Saeed is like, "Hey, can you watch my bag?" And then Boone comes back and he's like, couldn't get us into first class because rich boy problems, white boy summer. Yeah. But she like yelled at the gate agent and that's why they can't.
Yeah, that sounds like something Shannon would do.
Yeah.
And so
but
they're like,
you know what else?
He's thrown off this plane. He's like, really? And she rats on Saeed in a super racist
Which is
way.
just, it is like, actually, like he asked like, what did he look like? And she was like, Arab. And I'm like, oh my god.
It's also especially funny given that the actor is not Arab at all. He's Indian.
Yeah. But it's still just like, I mean, yeah, even then, I mean, yeah, in the show, even in the show, Saeed isn't Indian, but like, she would make that mistake.
Yeah, except it's not, but it's, in the show, it's not a mistake. He is supposed to be.
But it's a little layer, another layer of irony of how terrible she is being.
Right. Then we get Echo, and before the whole Echo scene, I just want to say, in the background, we hear that, the flight they're going to be on, flight 815, is leaving from gate 23, so
yeah.
I have to throw that in there.
Anyway, the drowning girl is there, and she's got a message from Yemi, which is like, huh. And it's like, how else would she know the name and know what to say? So
right, and he's very angry by this because he does not believe it's real.
yeah,
and...
I think he will eventually because island stuff will happen.
Right. Well, the message she delivers even has a thing. First thing, oh, you were a good priest, you're a good man, but it also says, "I will see you soon." Yeah. And Yemi's body is on the island.
His body, yeah. You know, I gotta say, we'll talk about this more later for reasons, but I think the thing I'm missing from Echo's backstory is that I would have wanted to see more of him being a good priest. He fell into the role, because all we saw of him being a priest was him doing that investigation, you know. I think that there's a bit of a missed opportunity there.
Yeah. Also, just during that whole argument, Libby interrupts
I noticed in my notes, I saw, like, she says, "Is everything all right?" And I'm like, wait, is that the lady who gave Desmond the boat?
Yeah. Desmond Boat Lady and Hurley Psych Ward Lady.
I caught that one. This is the weirdest, like, cameo character, because I don't think it matters.
Well, there's some fan speculation that she was supposed to get a whole episode, and then she didn't. And people think it might have to have been with some other reasons. I forget. So yeah, they just kind of threw her into other people's backstories to be like, oh, she's there somewhere.
Which is, it's like a weird character to pick to do cameos with, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Then we get Charlie.
I was just gonna say, like, when they picked Cassidy to show up in someone else's backstory, that was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, and she was great. You know, like, and then with I forget her name even.
Liddy.
It's just like Liddy. It's just like,
Yeah, I don't know.
And you know what else makes me go, Charlie.
Yeah, so he's with a girl that they'd clearly been partying, you know, the night before.
Yeah. She called him drive-through, and he's looking for heroin, and then she fucking beats him up because she wants his heroin.
No, doesn't get it though. He has that with him when he gets on the plane.
Yes. Who's the real winner?
Yeah.
Who's the real winner? The guy, you know, the girl who beat up this junkie, has-been, pathetic guy, or the one who still has the heroin?
Yeah. Then we see Nikki and Paulo in the airport, and they've gotten away with the murder.
Yeah. They see it on the news, and he quit smoking, so, like, everything's going great for them in their life.
Yeah, he's got that nicotine gum.
Yeah.
And we see Shannon and Boone in the background of the scene.
Yeah, not even the background. They're the forefront. They're just yelling at each other.
Well, the funny thing is that so the Shannon and Boone in the airport stuff was season 1, and this was a season 3 thing. So you can see Boone's hair change like so much from scene to scene. It's so different.
I don't look that closely at that kind of thing, but so I didn't notice. But yeah, and
she says, "Oh, you know, promise we won't end up like them." Like
yeah. I actually don't know if that's meant to be some kind of, haha, they are gonna end up like that, or if it's kind of like...
Well, they're not gonna end up being step-siblings, so...
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's supposed to be like a ironic thing there, or if it's just a corny joke where it's like, yeah, all the main characters you care about have shitty relations, but these two side characters, they're tight. I don't know if that's like a thing they'd be going for.
Oh, you'll see. Then we get Anna meeting Jack at the bar.
Which, she's flirting.
Oh, hardcore.
And I'm just kind of wondering, like, wait, is this a thing? Is this like a relationship that's gonna get developed for a while? Because I didn't expect this, and I mean, I never saw them interacting, but, like, is this a thing I'm gonna get a lot of?
Do you think it is?
I haven't gotten any... I don't think I've gotten any other hints at a romance with Jack, and he is the main character, so maybe? I mean, for all I know, all the girls are gonna want him, and it'll be a whole love quadrangle thing. Maybe she isn't the only one.
Lost does love its love drama, so...
It's love polygons.
Yeah. And they make a thing where Anna is seated in the back of the plane, and she doesn't like it, and she asks, oh, maybe they should trade. And, of course, Jack has seat 23, and she has seat 42, you know. And then, before she leaves, because she's heard the whole argument at the gate thing, and she says, the worst part's over. And it's just like,
and she doesn't...
Anna, I wish you knew who it was.
And she doesn't, like... I need Jack and Anna to know they have that connection. I need Jack and Sawyer to know that, like, Sawyer talked to his dad. I need Jack and Claire to talk about that. I need Anna and Claire. There's these so many things where, like... I mean, I'm sure they're gonna find the body. It's not like the body will go missing, but is everybody gonna be there to see it when they need to? I mean, what if they've already buried the body by the end of season 1 and Anna never gets a chance to see it?
Yeah, it's hard. That's why this is why they have things like, them using fake names and Claire not learning Christian's name. So you can't just say, I'm named Christian. Like, there has to be
I didn't even realize that was the motivation until now.
Yeah.
That's actually really funny.
So then we get to something that is purposefully funny with Hurley and his...
all these shenanigans. It's like, well, I mean, it's like the start of the movie Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Just the whole, in a hurry, try not to lose your stuff, gotta just, get there in time, all these shenanigans, and it's fun.
Yeah, it's
a little bit tonally inconsistent with the other scenes it's in between.
It is, and so there's things like, his alarm lost power because the whole thing burnt out, and the elevator's full, and his car will break down, and it turns out he has to buy another ticket, and that he's at the wrong gate.
And then the best part, let's talk about the best part when we see that. Let's not get to that yet.
Is it the scooter?
Shh. So Sun is getting coffee for her and Jin, and then we hear some people talking like,
See, I was so confused with this, because I'm like, this has to be someone, right?
We
never
same.
see these people again.
But, so at first, there's the part where, they're like, relax, they don't speak English, and I'm like, you do, son, get her ass.
Yeah, I was like,
do the whole... I still want that, like you ever see just like Reddit threads where they're like, what was the best story from when someone didn't realize he spoke the language, and it's always
their best creative writing story.
Oh yeah, the fake story of like, and everybody clapped. I'm like, come on, give me that. But instead, what I think this is actually setting up is that Sun's arc is gonna be starting to wonder, like, is my role as wife just to be subservient to Jin, or are we a team, are we partners, are we equals? Which hasn't been really a thing yet, but I could see it starting to go that way.
See, the way I saw this scene is that she was so planning to leave him, and then she decided to stay, and now she feels like guilty over what she was going to do, and so she's being extra, like, subservient to him at this moment to try and be like, oh, hey, I got you coffee, and hey, I'll cut your sandwich, and hey, I'll do all this and that, right?
Yeah.
That's just how I interpreted it, but yours could be another way.
Yeah,
also, I have to say, for these scenes, in the beginning of Season 1, the way they dressed Sun, the way they did her hair, did her makeup, it is not flattering. It doesn't really look that good. And it seems like only halfway through Season 1 that they realized, oh, Yoon Jin Kim is beautiful. Let's take advantage of that. Like,
yeah, this isn't some, like, homely girl with a gorgeous guy. This is, like, a power couple.
Exactly. Yeah. So then we get a thing of, Saeed coming out of security.
They let him go. At least, I think it helps that he's leaving the country, but it's like God, they could have detained him for hours.
On the CIA's dime? Like, come on.
Yeah. But it's still, like, they could have detained him for hours just to be assholes. Like, it sucks.
They could have. I mean, they will... This is just even a thing of... So, one time I was traveling, and my aunt, again, who is the least likely person to ever get profiled because she's, a white woman.
She's a white woman. Yeah. Middle-aged white woman.
Yeah. And so they called her out and they had her in security for like 90 minutes because, my uncle had bought a license plate from Cuba to bring home. And, going through the x-ray, it just looks like a big metal plate thing. So they had to grill her about that for 90 minutes. She's like, and they took the two pieces of metal that were the license plate and they had to tear it apart to get it. And it's like,
really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the state of airports, man.
Yeah.
And it's always like, they're always more destructive than they really need to be, which just kind of takes stuff. They're not being protecting. They're just kind of being assholes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All like the luggage locks. That did not stop them at all. They just ripped right through it. Like, yeah, airport security is a bitch.
Yep. I mean, and Ana Lucia was working for them.
She was wanding. Come on. That's
Yeah.
that's the lame part.
Anyway, we get Jin and another language barrier thing, or so it pretends, because the guy's like, hey, can I get a paper towel? And then it's like, I work for your boss. Bet you better not run away.
Yeah. And I think what Mr. Pike thought would happen is that they would run away and like steal the watch and sell it or something for money. And he says, you have to go deliver it.
But then no, Jin was gonna do it and just walk away after that.
Exactly. So it's kind of a weird, ambiguous situation here.
Yeah. And it's like, this is at a certain point.
And it's like, also, is this going to matter? Because they're going to crash on the island in a few hours.
It's basically not. And it's just like, I kind of feel like, at this point, I wanted more Sun and Jin stuff than I got. Because this feels a little undeveloped, like it's just a weird thing right before, well, the reason we know it won't matter anyway. And it's like, what was the weak link? What gave them away? That, like, how does his boss know?
Maybe he knew that Jin went to go see his father or something?
Yeah, well, how would he know that his father would give him that specific advice?
I don't think he did, because he thought he was going to take the watch.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Just, like, this could have been a larger plotline if they wanted to do it.
Right. Then we get Rose and Bernard boarding the plane, and
Locke
picks up her pills that she drops.
And he's still in a wheelchair, so my prediction was totally off. And it's just like, what's gonna happen then? How's he, like, how... Because the thing is, you kind of gave me a little spoiler, because you told me, like, oh, the first Locke flashback we see is that one we just got, where the sort of reveal that he's in a wheelchair is at the end of that, where he's at the walkabout place. And because of that, I'm like, oh, is he already healed when they're on the island, so we don't realize he was in a wheelchair before? But now it's just kind of hitting me like, is he gonna get healed as soon as we get on the island, and then we just think that... I don't know how early he's supposed to get healed. I don't know what we're supposed to expect going into his backstories.
They think he's originally injured from the crash. And...
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, his wheelchair isn't on them, so he could just be like, I can't feel my legs, and they're like, oh no, the crash got you.
Yeah. Then we see Walt playing his Game Boy SP, which I just need to note.
Classic.
In a few minutes, he's going to say that he needs more batteries. The Game Boy SP does not use batteries. It is a charging device. So,
yeah.
Dumbass writers on that one. I sure hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
Oh, yeah. Why is a grown man caring about... Why is a grown man worried about a children's gaming device?
Yeah, it's clearly someone remembered their Game Boy. He didn't realize technology has marched on.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, well, when was this part filmed? Was this season 1 thing?
2004.
Yeah, I think the DS was starting to come out, but the Game Boy was still in its time. The SP.
Yeah, I had a Game Boy in 2004.
I didn't, because my parents only started to let us get games at the DS era. I wanted a Game Boy.
Yeah, I had a Game Boy for a long time. My parents didn't get me a DS for a long while. Then we get Hurley's car just completely shutting down while driving to the airport.
Wait, there's more to say about Michael and Walt. Don't forget it. Because, it's after Hurley.
Right, then after this, Michael goes to call his mother.
Because Hurley is always in between stuff, but yeah, he's in the car. And now, Michael is... He's trying to foist Walt to his mom.
Which, he does have a good thing where he's like, I leave at 5 a.m., I have a studio apartment, how am I supposed to take care of Walt,
Like, I don't think that he should... I don't think he should give Walt away, but I think this is clearly a situation where he needs help. He can't do this alone. And also, but he says he's not supposed to be mine, and that hurts because it's like you wanted him, you tried to fight for him. It's like
But it's been
it was supposed to be
9 years
yours,
since that
but
time.
I can't blame him for saying that now. Just like I keep saying, it's like, what can you do? But of course, Walt walked up and heard him say that.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of... The thing about it is that Walt is just like, I need batteries. And that's what really hurts. Walt isn't invested in Michael enough for that to matter to him. He didn't expect anything from Michael. And that's like the most tragic part.
Well, they're gonna be forced to be together, so...
Yeah, oh, I so want them to get a better relationship.
Yeah, so Hurley makes it to the reception desk and has to slowly purchase a ticket.
And they are weight discriminating.
Okay, no, come on. At a certain point, you do need that extra seat.
Look, yes, at a certain point, Hurley would also be more comfortable with it too. But the way she's like, am I going to have to weigh you? Is like,
well, first she
wow.
just says, oh, well, we need you to buy another seat. And he says, really? And she goes, do I have to weigh you? Like...
I don't know. I think that you could be a little more kind about it.
You could. He was already being rude to her, though, so...
Well, he's in a hurry.
It's an airport.
But
Everyone's in a hurry.
Well, this is the wrong terminal anyway.
Yeah, he's at the domestic terminal, not the international. So he has to
run
through the whole airport.
And he tries to cut in the line for security, and they're just like, nope.
Yeah, you don't get to cut the line for security. What? And oh, I should notice this because we later see this sort of minor character also getting on the plane is the one guy who is near the front of security with the guy in front of him going, now you're taking the computer out now.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that. And so is that like someone we see on the island?
He's kind of just like a little background character kind of thing.
Like one of the island extras
who
we assume got killed when they went back in time.
Yeah. Just a little funny thing.
But yeah, so after that, Locke is just like being dehumanized.
Yeah, because they can't find the wheelchair to load him on, so they say, hey, we'll just carry him on. Which is just...
And it's like yeah, because what else can you even do?
But
it's like he just accepts it because he knows what else can he do. And it's just and then
he can't even grab the little pamphlet for the.
Well, so one thing I'm thinking while I'm seeing him in this position is, what if he needs to use the bathroom? I don't think Australia to LA is a short flight necessarily. So, first of all, does he need them to carry him to the bathroom? And then second of all, like, is he able to use it on his own?
I don't know. I made it from Minneapolis to Paris without using the bathroom, so it's possible.
I mean, yeah, but it's like, it's a risk.
It is. I'm sure they would do something.
Anyway, then we get the best part with Hurley.
Yeah, where he buys a scooter from an old man.
He's like, I kind of just really like seeing Hurley solve his problems with money. Because, you know, like, he's not being like, oh, I can... Like, it's not like he bribes... It's not like he's bribing people to get ahead. Like, he didn't bribe the security to let him through first. He is just paying people for things.
Yeah, just...
generously.
Especially because... Hey, can I buy your scooter? I just had a hip replacement. And then just gives him, like, everything in his wallet. Oh,
$1,600.
Yeah.
And this, I think, while we have this, it's, like, cut alongside everyone else just getting on the plane.
Yeah, so these are two tonally opposite things, where Hurley thinks it's all funny and comedic, whereas on the other one, when it will finally cut to just that, like, they're literally playing the song. It's probably my favorite song from Lost. I'll probably send you a full version after this. Called Life and Death, and it's a very nice piano theme.
Yeah, and it was like they're going the sad music, and they're going like everything is silent other than the sad music. That creates a certain atmosphere.
Yeah, and I should say this is also a thing of people being like, oh, see, when they all boarded the plane, they're playing the song Life and Death because they died on the island. No, they didn't. They survived the plane crash.
Or you could just say some people. Well, okay, I don't know the circumstances of the plane crash. I don't know if it's like everybody survives, but the plane is useless now, plane crash. or if it's a half of them die plane crash. But right now I'm thinking it could just be life and death because some of them will die, or they're going into a life and death situation, or the song name just doesn't matter.
Yeah, all the main characters you've seen will survive this plane crash. Like,
oh yeah. Oh no, Jack. See, everyone else survives, but Jack, he actually dies here all alone.
Oh, of course, right. That makes perfect sense.
Because he's a surgeon. He's all about that border between life and death. That's the main theme for him,
Yeah.
and that so ironic that the
Also-
bringer of life.
So also we see as Hurley is running through this airport, he runs past like a girls' soccer team, and all their jerseys are, the numbers.
Oh, of course.
Right, yeah, and he
So-
barely gets on the plane.
And she's like, oh, it's already closed, but she lets him on, and he hugs her, and it's nice.
Yeah, and this reminds me of, I might cut this out. This reminds me of sort of the main character in Danganronpa 1, where this character, they call him the ultimate lucky student, but he's like, I'm not very lucky, I'm always clumsy or getting things, and he's like, oh, but I'm lucky because I got accepted to this super prestigious school, only to end up in like a death game at the school. But then it turns out, no, it actually was lucky because being trapped in that death game is what led him to be able to defeat the creator of it. And it's
Yay.
like a whole thing of all the different types of luck meshing together, where it seems like Hurley has
Yeah.
bad luck because he's all these bad things happening to him on the way to the airport. But
And then
if he actually
he
did
gets on
miss
the
his
plane.
flight, that would be good luck.
Yeah. And then it's like, is the island bad luck? Because maybe some good things will come from being on the island. I mean, the big way I see Hurley as a person comes from the time travel thing, because in his backstories I've got a lot of sad Hurley, I've got a lot of, worried about the numbers Hurley, I got rich yet unhappy Hurley, and all I kind of think is, we get Hurley, like, just working for Dharma, where what he basically does is just does, labor stuff, and he works in the cafeteria, and he's just like, hey, I made some good sandwiches, I'm gonna bring it to the guys working down there, because they could use these good sandwiches to help them. And it's like, he's just a good dude. He seems like he is willing to be content in that position, and he's being helpful to people, he's being kind to people through it, he's going above and beyond. And that's why I kind of think, like, Hurley, he's gonna be fine on the island. He's not gonna be brought to down. He's gonna accept what his life is, and, he's not gonna... I feel like it's not necessarily bad luck for him.
Well, yeah, I guess it is all a matter of perspective in that sense.
Because, I mean, if not, he seemed happier delivering sandwiches with Miles than he did being rich. That's, I guess, what I'm saying.
That is very true. Then, we get these sort of slow-mo shots of everyone on the plane with Charlie checking his, like, guitar case, and Kate having handcuffs put on her, Sayid looking at Nadia.
So this is not from the first episode of the show, right?
No, this is from the season 1 finale.
This would be... So, the finale had, like, the backstory where we see what... So they kind of bookended season 1 by ending it with showing what happened right before.
Yes.
Because with the sad music, I'd be like, this would be so weird if we didn't know the characters yet.
Yeah, but in the backstory, chronologically, we do know all of them, so...
Yeah.
Also, I should say, the sort of item that we see, because we see sort of like an item with everyone, like Walt with his Game Boy and everything, and Hurley with like a comic book, is we see Boone giving Shannon an asthma inhaler. So, there's your fellow asthmatic, Shannon.
Wow, I feel so represented. Shannon is the character I can identify with on Lost. We are so alike.
Yes, I can't think of a difference between you two. I'm just, other than, looks, gender, personality, backstory.
She is blonde, I'll give you that.
Right, so then we get Desmond in this.
Yeah, Desmond time. So, he's shaving, and Kelvin is going out to do his thing, and there's a rip in the suit. And I feel like if I was Desmond, I would be like, yo, there's a rip in your suit, you gotta be alright. But I think it's actually just like the entire thing of needing the suit to go out was a lie, I think.
I feel like this is what dumbass COVID deniers think is happening. Like, people are putting on these suits, walking through a thing, and then immediately taking them off, and like it's.
Yeah. That's a funny comparison. I don't know, I mean, to a certain extent, I never took Kelvin's whole thing that seriously, just because, like,
we see Juliet and the others and Ben and everything.
Yeah,
like,
and we know a bunch of people are gonna be here soon. It's just, like, I was never, like, thinking it was that much of a thing anyway. But yeah, Desmond goes out to follow him. And, we get some Juliet stuff, yeah.
Right, so here's the thing, is Lost would open some episodes, maybe it was some seasons, with someone putting on music and getting ready for their day. And you've already seen one of these with the,
I have,
Pierre
yeah,
Chang
with Pierre.
in the 70s.
Pierre. I remember that.
Yeah, so this was Juliet's thing. I believe this was the opener to season 3. And yeah, so she puts on Downtown, which is actually a song I like.
I was neutral on it.
Yeah, so she's getting ready, setting up all these things. I mean, it's not a spoiler what she's setting up for. She's setting up for the book club they were talking about.
Yeah, and she burns stuff. She drops it on the floor. She burns her hand. Yeah, and the old lady who shows up is like, "Oh, did Ben tell you how you felt?" And he's like, "No, I burnt my hand." And she's like, "That," and she's like, "Burning a hand doesn't make you cry." I'm like, "That'll make me cry."
Really?
I mean, depending on how bad I burnt my hand.
I don't know. I've burned my hand on like pans like that before. It hasn't made me cry. It's mostly because it's not a singular intense pain. It's just a long, slow pain over several days.
I guess. I don't know. Well, I think she's about to show maybe the X-rays of Ben's tumor.
Yeah, originally this was a mystery. Like, what's she gonna show? But it's the X-rays. We've seen them.
Yeah. So yeah, that's not much to say. So then we get Desmond following him, and it turns out that Kelvin is fixing the boat.
Yeah, he's almost done repairing the Elizabeth. So
yeah.
And then he says, "Yeah, we can both leave." And he goes, "Well, what about the button that we've spent years pushing?" And he goes, "Screw the button. It's not even real." Like.
And the thing is, I think he was totally willing to leave Desmond behind and keep pressing the button. But now, once Desmond has seen this, he's like, "Oh, want to come with me?" Because he knows now he can't convince Desmond to stay.
Exactly, yeah. He says that, he needed a sucker to keep saving the world after he left. Which is... Yeah. I mean, if you really believe that pushing the button could be saving the world,
Well, Desmond tackles him, and looks like he's dead.
Him. Yep.
Oh, boy.
So, that's where we end this one.
Yeah, so... I mean, next episode, I think I know what we're gonna get. And,
yeah, spoiler, we're gonna get the plane crash.
And, I mean, my big question is really just, how is Locke gonna turn out to be able to walk, or when, or... I promise I am still patient for when Locke finally becomes a badass. I am in no hurry, but I do want to know how. I'm curious, just not impatient.
Okay, I am not going to say anything to that effect, because you will just have to see at some point. So, now we thought, since we are at the end of what they call, Season 1 for Chronologically Lost, which is everything, just all the backstories, everything before the plane crash. Now, we have a thing that we set up, but before this I want to ask you, after seeing all the backstories, every possible backstory, who's your favorite character?
Favorite character is different from favorite backstory,
Yeah.
It definitely is. Oh, see, I wasn't thinking about this. I mean, Locke is an obvious... I'm not going to be decisive here. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to give a clear single answer. But Locke, Jin, Hurley, Jack, Daniel... They're all top choices. They're all great.
Okay, you'll be seeing more of all of them, so...
Oh yeah, of course.
Right, and now we sort of made a whole tier list ranking for all the backstories of Lost. Now...
Yes,
and... Not everybody is on this. I believe I left out Nikki and Paulo, and I left out...
The thing is, whoever you leave out isn't that...
I also left out Miles, and viewers should know why.
Well, I mean, at a certain point I can assume if we get Miles' backstory, it'll probably happen during things on the island.
Yeah, well, as we know, Miles doesn't come on the plane. He comes on the freighter later.
Yeah.
So,
anyway, David and I have just sent each other our tier lists for the first time. This is my first time seeing his. This is his first time seeing mine.
yes. So, you have some strange choices.
Yeah.
So, why don't we work your way through yours, because you're the newbie here.
Okay.
And
right,
let's go worst to best. So, worst backstory. Who is it? D tier. D tier backstories.
My worst, and these should be on the screen, both of ours.
Yes.
But my worst is Charlie. Because, ultimately, I didn't like the concepts. I didn't really like his personality. Like, I mean, I don't think the acting was bad, so much as he's just not a person I got into. Honestly, I don't even like how he looks.
What? He looks
I don't
good.
know, And I think the thing about Charlie is that he makes so many bad decisions. Obviously, with the rich girl, and then he also just, like, makes bad decisions, like, he could have sought help. His brother offered to help for his drug addiction. Like, I understand some of his bad decisions come from his drug addiction, but I still just feel like, I mean, dude, you could start trying to make music, start a new band, do stuff solo. Instead, you're like, oh, if my brother doesn't rejoin me, there's nothing I can do. I mean, you also have Charlie in D tier. How do you feel about him?
Yeah, I feel... Again, I don't think I feel as negatively about it as you do. Again, it's... A lot of his backstory is I can see how it ties into what he does later. So, I know what its purpose is. So, I like it a little bit more because of that. But it's still just... You know, the kind of cliched story of... Guy becomes famous for music, guy gets hooked on drugs, guy becomes junkie, and life spirals out of control. Like, it's...
Yeah.
Not that original. So now you get... Now, another D tier from you is...
I'm not gonna lie, this is one... Okay, a lot of my choices, they could totally be changed around. A lot of them are very arbitrary. I was changing this around right before we started recording. This is not, like... Frankly, there's a lot of these where you could say something and I'd be like, oh shit, you're right, I should move that. Honestly, for Ben, I'm probably... Okay, the thing is, in my notes, my reason... Everyone,
Matthew has put Ben in D tier, the lowest tier.
Yeah.
I want...
Look,
come out in the comments.
I don't dislike his backstory in the sense that the time travel plot was great. And I think his dad was, like, a really effective character, even though he was an awful person. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't taking how I ranked Ben that seriously, and I was primarily thinking here, he was really annoying as a kid.
What? Oh, come on.
That is pretty much my reason for putting him this low.
Jeez. Okay, so...
I'm sorry.
I have him in A tier.
You know what? I'll offer this olive branch. He probably works a lot better when you know him as the villain, and then it's like, wow, this was what made him the way he was, being in Dharma, having a horrible father figure. Whereas for me, it's just kind of like introducing him that way, and I didn't have the most reason to care about him at the time.
Yeah, see, I really like it because you see how he starts off as just this scared little kid, and then he becomes... You know, he becomes part of the others. He helps wipe out all of Dharma and take over their whole thing. And then you see him, you know, disagree with Widmore and everything because it's shown that even though, you know, he has done these bad things, you know, he's not on the level of Widmore who wanted to, you know, like kill a child.
Yeah.
But he still stole a baby, which is like a bad thing. And then you get him ousting Charles and becoming the leader of the others.
I'll give it that. I was thinking more about child Ben than
it's all of it, all the backstory.
Semi-adult Ben. Yeah, but even then, I think it's a villain origin story that I knew was a villain origin story, but I couldn't really appreciate as one, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. And I will say maybe the stuff with Juliet is kind of weird, but I still think it works for him as, you know, like you said, a villain. So now,
anyway, next I have Walt Lowe, which, like, I mean...
In what tier?
The Michael...
You have him in C tier.
I have in C tier, which... I mean, he's a kid. We barely got anything. I don't have anything against it. I'm sure he'll be great other than bad child acting. There's not much to say about him at this point.
Yeah, see, I kind of counted. You ranked this differently, and I can't disagree with you, but the way I ranked it is I kind of took Michael and Walt as a unit when I did this.
Yeah, which is, it's fair.
So, like, yeah, you
I'm
have
not surprised.
split Walt lower and Michael higher, but I put them together, and I put them both in B tier, because I thought, yeah, it was good, but there just wasn't enough of it, and their entire backstory was more about their relationship with each other, which it was okay, but it didn't really, I don't know, it just didn't have that oomph to me, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, a lot of my A tier choices are the ones that are good. They just didn't quite have the oomph.
Right. Yeah.
So
who do you have next?
Next on my list is Desmond, where I had him in C tier actually before I decided to move him down, but
He is in C tier.
you know how oh, I mean B tier.
Oh.
But he's in my. I just couldn't get behind his decision making. It just kind of like bothered me more than I saw it as interesting flaws. I mean, he's not a bad character. I think he'll be good on the show, but his flaky stuff wasn't that enjoyable to me. And honestly, what maybe put him in B for me is just that, like, he does get involved in really interesting stuff with Kelvin that's obviously important to the plot. So I'm maybe underrating him a bit here. I am totally acknowledging these are very biased choices. These are not my pure assessments of how well written everything is. It's kind of a mix of, like, how well written is it and how much am I just, like, how much do I like the person in a way where I don't need to like every character. I'm okay with disliking characters if they're good characters.
Yeah, that's fair. See, also, I know the reason why he broke off his engagement with Penny. Or not broke off his engagement. Why he didn't propose to her, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So I already know that, and so for me, I have him in B tier because I understand his flakiness a lot more.
I could totally see that bringing him up for me.
And
like, I'm missing
I also just
here.
like Desmond because he has one of the most plot centric backstories with everything with Kelvin, and he also meets with Jack and everything, which is very good. I like the relationship between him and Penny. I know you didn't care for it, but I did. Again, though, it is lower because when you see it as just the backstory, it is a lot choppier than normal viewing. So who do you have next?
Next, I have Shannon and Boone, I think, together in one because I don't really distinguish them.
Yeah, I also have them together in C tier.
Which, I mean, it's not bad, honestly, but it doesn't feel like that complete of a story. It had some moments I really liked where we find out that she was scamming him, and we find out, and also, I mean, even though it was a trick, I quite liked the scene where she sort of makes him think she was being abused, because I thought that was powerful. But it's also technically incest, so they get C tier.
See, I had the opposite way, where I really like their beginning. I like the whole thing with Shannon trying to actually move through with her life, and having all these issues with her stepmom, and everybody acting like she can't do anything. But then the whole, like, pretending to be abused to scam money out of her brother. I don't know. I just didn't care for that plot line. Like, so they're in C tier for me, especially since those are the only ones they have.
Yeah. So next, I have Danielle, who I just didn't get much to do. I didn't get much to do with her. I don't know what she ends up doing, and with a lot of these backstories, I think that even not knowing what happens with them later, the backstories really contextualized who they are, why they matter to me, and I don't have that with her, so I just didn't feel much from it.
Yeah, that's fair. Again,
yeah. Also,
there was supposed
she
to
tried
be more with her that they were unable to do.
But also, she tried to shoot Jin.
Yes, to be fair, I have her just slightly above in B tier. I can understand why she wanted to shoot Jin, though, considering everything she went through. And I don't know, I guess we didn't really get to see all of it, but I like the whole thing of her. First off, she's played by a very beautiful actress, so there's that. she lands on this island, pregnant with her boyfriend, and they just have to go through like the worst time trying to survive with this whole smoke monster thing. And she even eventually has to shoot her boyfriend. Like, it's...
Yeah. No, I think that if I saw their whole Among Us escapades, she could be like an A tier for me.
Yeah.
Just like, I would have liked to see it.
See,
yeah.
That also would have made her A tier for me, but I only bump her down to B instead of C.
Yeah, because I think you also just, her more, and I don't. I think it's kind of just a subconscious thing of how much you actually know the character and how much you can feel from that,
Yeah. So, who do you have next?
I have Claire in C tier, which, wow, you have in D.
You have Claire in B tier.
B tier, right. For some reason, my brain keeps thinking... My brain keeps looking at my middle row and thinking C. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I keep forgetting I have S. But yeah, Claire in B tier. I pretty much put everyone in this tier if I just felt they were average and didn't do that much for me.
Okay, yeah, I put her all the way down in D tier. I did not care for this backstory.
I mean, maybe I could have put her lower because the whole psychic thing is kind of... I don't know, I didn't dislike it, I just didn't feel much.
To me, the only interesting parts were the one with Christian in it, and her whole thing with her mom, which is... I don't know, just kind of... Like, yeah, that's okay. That's an interesting connection. I hate how she looks in that one, because her hair is just trash. But,
I liked it.
Yeah, everything with her getting pregnant, and then the boyfriend leaving her, I don't care. And then with the psychic, it just does not make sense at all, so I'm over it. Yeah, so she's D tier for me.
Yeah, see, I can't disagree with any of that. Like, I could see myself bumping her down. It's just kind of a case where it's like, she and a lot of others in B tier are ones where I just don't really have strong feelings, and I'm not really sure where to put them. I'm not sure if that means they're average or if that means they're subpar.
Okay, yeah. So who do you have next?
Next I have Kate, who I think... Wow, we both have Kate at, like, second to last in B tier.
Within tiers, I didn't rank them like that. I just threw up the pictures.
I mostly didn't either. Like, I mostly didn't. But, yeah, Kate, she had good parts, but she also just had a lot of weird parts that I was kind of bored by. When it got really interesting with the heist, then it kind of lost me because it was only for the plane and that was it. It was... There were interesting parts and there were parts where there just wasn't that much of a point to me. I think Kate is very much a fine backstory, definitely better than Claire, but nothing that would really make me put her up in A tier.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I basically agree with everything you said. She's just okay to me in a backstory. Who do you have next?
Ana Lucia, she's one of those that I will totally say I could have put her in A, because while we talked about it in the episode, I was very critical of her. I'm like, wow, you are not a good cop. Wow, you killed this guy. So I sort of gave myself this negative impression because I disapprove of her choices. But then looking back, that makes it a great story. It makes her an interesting character. It's a great tragedy, a great flawed character making mistakes.
Because the show also disapproves of her choices. So
yeah,
it's meant in that way.
I definitely could have put her a level up. I think I kind of just kept her out of A because I feel like I never got that much with her. I feel like she could have had a larger story.
Yeah, so I put her in A because I really liked both halves of her story. I liked the whole revenge sort of plotline against this guy, especially in the way that she did it in a very bad way, because she had the exact sort of legal correct way to do it where they were just going to arrest him, but she was just so consumed by anger and vengeance that she had to kill him herself, and all the issues that led to with her mother, which I thought were interesting, just with how they played at the end of her second half here, with everything with Christian and seeing someone going off the deep end. Like, she kind of saw what her issues were in Christian and trying to help Christian even though she failed, and eventually deciding that, to admit she has made mistakes and that she needs help, and that she just wants to go back to her mother, which it's lovely, and then it's also tragic in that she's going to crash on an island.
I don't disagree with any of that, pretty much.
Yeah.
So next on mine, I had Daniel, who I'm kind of surprised I didn't put higher, because I like Daniel. I think he's great. I like scientists, I like physicists, I like time travel, I like all of that with him. Daniel is great, and the reason I put him in B tier is kind of just when I think, what were Daniel's amazing moments in his backstories? I realized I don't have any.
Yeah, see, I like Daniel because I liked sort of the what do you call it? Ironic moment with him and his mother where he's trying to learn piano, and just everything and how he's been manipulated in his life because his mother knows what has to happen, and so she has to keep pushing him on this path. And I liked his meeting with Desmond where their backstories intersect at Oxford. I thought that was, pretty interesting in how he's learning time travel and everything.
I think that if I had to say his best backstory moment, it would be like it would be when his experiment worked. But I don't know, it just wasn't on the level of some others for me.
Yeah, I also have him here, so
I'm kind of starting to feel like Daniel in theory is better than Daniel in practice for me.
That's fair. So who do you have next?
Next, I have Jacob in B tier, which is, I don't know, I mean, on one hand, it's the ultimate answers, and I think if anything, I'm kind of underrating it because it was just like my first impression of the show, so I didn't really know what to think at the time. Well, the thing about Jacob's backstory is that, for me, the best part of it was during Richard's backstory, so I kind of counted it there.
Yeah, I counted if they intersect. I count both of them there.
Yeah, that's maybe not fair. But I don't know, I feel like, I don't know. I don't even have much to say. It feels like so long ago now that I saw that. Maybe if I watched it again, I'd be like, no, this is important, this is a cool backstory. But it just kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, so I have that in A tier because, well, one, as you said, in Richard's backstory, he's also really cool. And two, the original, full backstory for him, I'm never going to be able to get out of my head when I saw it originally the right way through. Because it just was so... I was one of the people who loved that episode because it just answered so many things to me, and it fit a lot of puzzle pieces together. And I don't know, that's why I like it.
So, yeah, I mean, that's not wrong. I got it as my introduction to the show, and as I talked about in our first podcast episode, I liked it for that. I thought it was effective, but I also can't appreciate it as the answers ever.
Right, so who's next?
Next I have Juliet, who I feel kind of similarly to Daniel about, where I like Juliet, she's great. What were her great moments in her backstories?
Yeah, I'd say that sort of great moments in her backstories would be, one, the whole hit by a bus thing. Okay. That's a cool thing. And other than that, the sort of major moments in her backstories really are just her sort of angry arguments with Ben as her sort of emotional outbursts, kind of.
I didn't quite love those.
Yeah, I also have her in B tier, basically for the same reasons, though.
Yeah.
So, next character.
So, next I have Jack, who... The thing about Jack is that he has so much backstory, and some of it is totally A tier. Some of it is great, but he has so much, and some of it was not as great to me.
So you're saying
he's just kind of dragged down.
Rating.
Well, I'm being kind of unfair here, because Thailand takes his rating, but I'm kind of ignoring the weed farm for Locke. I'm being kind of unfair. But the thing is, for Locke, it's like the weed farm is the only it's the only problem. Whereas with Jack, the Thailand isn't the only thing. There's also just... It was such a long story with him, and I wasn't super into all of it. I think the best part was just him deciding to report his dad for the malpractice. That's A tier. And some of it was just good, but not good in an A tier way to me. And also, I mean, I'm also just kind of like with Desmond, I'm letting some of my feelings towards the character's actions bleed in, even when, in terms of writing, in terms of character arc, in terms of flaws, this is good. But I'm kind of letting the fact that, like, my opinion is affected by how much during his backstories I was thinking, ugh, Jack, come on, this is such a stupid decision. Like when he follows his dad to the AA meeting.
Yeah, so I have Jack in an A tier, and I agree, Thailand tanks it. It's... Thailand is just not good. But I like everything else in his backstory. I like him, fixing Sarah. I enjoyed their whole wedding thing and his fears over that. The whole divorce thing, I thought was good. Like, obviously, Jack is being the worst in those backstories, but it feels believable in the way that he's acting, at least. And that, yes, he's making terrible decisions, but they're terrible decisions I believe that he's making for a reason.
Yeah.
And also, of course, the thing with his dad is just great, so...
Yeah. I'll honestly say, a lot of early Jack stuff, like when he was just trying to be a good enough doctor and his dad didn't believe in him, or even when he was trying to save Sarah, I didn't really... I mean, it wasn't bad, but it also wasn't, like, incredible to me. It was kind of similar to, like, Juliet or Kate stuff, where I wasn't that into the character during that part.
Okay, yeah. So who's next?
Next on mine, at the top of B tier, I have Sun, and I'll just be straight up with you. Sun should be higher, but she cheated on Jin, and she almost left him.
Oh, see, that's another... that's a positive for me in the drama.
I know. Look, I'm being... These are not the most serious ratings. I'm being fun, but how dare she?
Yeah, that...
With Asian Lex Luthor of all people.
That just reminds me of... Again, I might have mentioned this, but of sort of these people who do reactions to Lost, and when that backstory opens and they see her with Asian Lex Luthor, and they immediately assume it's a flashback to when she was dating Asian Lex Luthor in the beginning, and then she says, "The problem is that I'm married," and they instantly go, "How dare you!" Like,
yes,
they instantly flip on her and they go, "I'm not happy with her this episode. She's terrible."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know. I think to me that just adds to the drama of it all.
No,
I have her and Jin in S tier. Like,
that's fine. That's fine. I am just being petty.
Yeah. Okay, so
after that, we enter my A tier, which starts with Richard, which I thought it was powerful. He lost his wife. He was a slave, and then his conversation with Jacob is excellent.
Yeah, see, I have Richard in B tier. I like the episode of it all, but it is just the one thing, and then we don't really see Richard again that much, other than maybe the one conversation in the 50s and him meeting Ben for 10 seconds. Again, I like it. I like him meeting Jacob. I like where we learn the whole Cork thing. I like him being immortal, but again, a lot of his backstory is just based on Catholic guilt, which that's not going to hit for me. So
yeah, see, that's. I mean, I agree with that. I don't know. It hit me. I thought he was someone you could root for.
Right. So who do you have next?
See, I have Sawyer, who I noticed you have down in C tier.
I considered even putting Sawyer in D tier, honestly.
See. For me, it's like, I mean, this is where I'm like, yeah, he's not the most likable person, but I feel like in almost every Sawyer backstory, something interesting to me was happening, and there was often a twist, there was often a, oh shit, this is what's happening, where I feel like it just kept me engaged a lot.
See, to me, it felt like the opposite. Obviously, the opening backstory to him with his father, committing a murder-suicide. That's a very powerful scene, so that's good.
Yeah.
The whole thing of him scamming the couple and then deciding not to because they have a kid, don't care for it. Moving on. Him with Cassidy is interesting, but I don't know, I felt like it went on too long. Ending up betraying her, I didn't like that because I like Cassidy. The prison thing, I don't like the prison thing except for the ending. The ending is good to that, but I don't care for the prison thing.
For me, I mean, that's fair, but for me, the ending kind of made it worth it. The ending was like, oh, okay, that all comes together, where then I didn't mind that before the ending it wasn't the best.
And then what makes it C tier or not D tier for me is the final backstory with him going after
Yeah.
Frank, thinking he is the original Sawyer.
Because that's the backstory he was always meant to have, the tie-in to his origin.
Exactly. So that's why
I don't know.
that brings him up for me.
I think for me it's just kind of like his backstory is really I often said I had mixed feelings on the cons because they get me nervous about how is it going to turn out, but ultimately just the cons are interesting. It's always like, oh, what's the plan? Is he going to execute the plan right? Is there a secret level to the plan that he hadn't revealed yet? I think that's engaging stuff.
The thing is, he's also going to be doing cons on the island, and those are way more interesting to me.
Okay. Anyway, next I have Echo, who you also have A tier because Echo's great.
Yeah, he is great. I would have put him in S tier if he wasn't going to sell those vaccines, basically.
See, for me, it's as I mentioned earlier.
No, it's also the tight time frame for the whole vaccine thing that they had to shove in there, which makes the pacing kind of strange.
Yeah, for me, it's just kind of like I would have loved to see him really become a good priest and earn Yemi saying that. I feel like it feels a little incomplete.
Well,
and maybe that'll be part of his arc going forward.
I will just say, yes, it didn't happen in his backstory, but he's going to survive this plane crash. And what's the last thing he heard before he crashed was...
We'll see each other again, yeah. The arc isn't finished, but I just feel like... I mean, this is an example of just great backstory, lacking that little something to put me into S.
Yeah, same. So, who's next?
So, now I have Hurley, who you have in S tier, which I don't have any issues with.
Yeah, Hurley is S tier. He's great.
Yeah, he's great. He's likable. Super interesting stuff happens. Him in the mental hospital is sad and has a great twist. Him, working at the chicken and winning the lottery is all cool. I think some lottery stuff dragged from me a little, like him being rich. It wasn't all perfect, and in general,
to me, I loved it just with how. They meme it. They make it. They take it to 10 and then they take it to 12.
I mean, the meteor, the meeting with the accountant, the meteor crashing, those are amazing.
Yeah.
Some of the other scenes I wasn't as into.
I even like the whole thing with him and his mom and the house burning down and getting arrested and.
Yeah, that's good too.
I love those scenes.
He's one of the best, and I guess the way I feel about it is just kind of like he for me it's just kind of like. I feel a difference between how much I liked his stuff and how much I liked Locke and Michael's stuff.
Who do you have next?
Next, I have Saeed, who you have in C. Wow.
Yeah. Well, why do you have him in A?
I just thought, there were obvious flaws. Like, we talked about the first torture thing and the whole torture working thing.
Yeah.
That was bad. And yeah, I had my frustrations with it, but ultimately, I just felt like he was a really well-done tragic character. When the focus was on Saeed himself, I always can just feel his regrets, feel that he has to do things he wishes he didn't have to do, and I feel he's always trying to make the right choice, even when it's hard and even when there isn't a clear right choice.
Yeah, so I have him in C, and this is because, first off, his first backstory, where he learns to torture, hate it, don't like it at all. Throw it away.
Totally fair.
The first backstory with Nadia, that's a good one. I like that. That's a nice C tier for me. The one where he gets abducted in Paris. See, other than the ending with the girl lets him go because of reasons, there's nothing really to that. It's just lies. He gets captured, doesn't say anything, and then speech at the end.
I wasn't in love with the lies thing because I didn't think he had a reason to lie. He didn't have anything to protect. But I still just liked kind of seeing a consequence, a reflection, like a consequence to what he had done and him accepting that.
Yeah,
I just
and
thought
the whole
that
infiltrating a terrorist cell, I don't know, that just wasn't interesting to me.
Really? I don't know. I didn't love all of it, but I just thought it was like, wow, this is crazy. This isn't... I don't know what else to say other than to me it was interesting.
I don't know. To me, I was just like, Saeed, stop lying to people. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And who do you have next?
So, next I have Jin in the top of A tier, which is, yeah, he's great. You have him in S tier, and I don't know. I think that for me, part of why I don't have him at the top is that the first half of the backstory was good, and that it only really got amazing during the second half of the backstory.
That's fair. I guess you could see that, yeah, but the pacing and the long length between the two. Just because
also,
that one damn Hurley cameo in the...
Yeah, but then also just, I mean, at the moment, it feels incomplete to me. Which, like with Echo, the arc isn't done. Obviously, we'll get more, but rating it right now, I feel like the number of scenes we got in the airport and just with their relationship development is just really lacking for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like it. Again, I tie his with Sun's so closely together. I think there's just so much...
look. For a more serious rating, Sun should be right next to him. They should both be at the top of my A tier. I wanted to be able to make the joke of like, yeah, she's great, but she cheated on Jin. But like the backstory as a whole, it's near the top. It's the third best for me. Which, I mean, A tier doesn't sound great. What is an S tier? But me saying top 3, that sounds better.
Yeah. So who's next for you?
Next is Michael, who, I mean, I said it so much at the time. His later stuff is good, but as much as I say, like, wow, it hurts to see how he and Walt are, it's not that good, but he is just so high up for me because he peaked the highest with the emotions it made me feel with his struggles between him and Susan.
That's very fair, and those are definitely the strongest. Those are his strong points, and I really like them. I tied his with Walt, so they are together with me, and the second half backstory is just... I mean, I don't... those are just not... It's not a backstory I like to see. It's not a story I like to see.
Understandable.
Yeah, so it was very well done in the first half, and it kind of felt petered out by the second.
I mean, for me, it's definitely not perfect. It has low points, it has flaws, but it's almost kind of like... Its peak is better than Locke's peak. It kind of peaks above S for me. It peaks, like, what it did there was, like, above Lost's usual quality for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so now here, the final one, the one you consider the best. I don't think this is a surprise to anyone. It's Locke.
Locke. I mean, how can you not?
First of all... That's how I can't.
First of all, Weed Farm. I'm just ignoring Weed Farm. There is no rule of whether... There is not like, oh, if you ignore Weed Farm, you have to also ignore Thailand. There are no rules here. I'll do what I want. But anyway, first of all, it helps. It honestly did a lot that I saw some of him during the time travel stuff, and I saw him being the confident badass. I think I might not have liked it the way I do if I didn't have that anticipation of seeing the growth, which I'm still here for, and I'm not... I mean, yeah, for some of the others, I've said it feels incomplete, and I guess that's true here too, but I don't mind it. I'm still here for him becoming a badass. And then seeing, even when he was a little more pathetic, like when he was working in the toy store, just different during his other low points, he just has this energy where you want to see him get better because you know he can. And then obviously, his dad's first betrayal, second most powerful thing in the show after Michael's stuff. What was the other thing that happened? His dad and
kidney. Then
his
met
dad
Helen,
and Helen.
Then his dad caused a rift between him and Helen. Then Weed Farm.
So the stuff with
then pushed out a window.
So the stuff with his dad and Helen was like, I mean, that's A tier stuff where then he averages out as S tier overall. I'm not saying his dad and Helen stuff was as good to me, but then his dad pushing him out the window, that's S tier again. But yeah, I mean,
basically,
he's
I agree with everything you're saying, but I don't disregard Weed Farm, so I have to drop him down.
which is fair. But yeah, anyway, I think we'll link the tier maker. If anyone wants to make their own, comment it. We'd love to see it.
Yes, we would. Even though probably by the time this goes up, we will be maybe in season 3 of this. Thing.
We are. At the time of recording, only 2 episodes have been posted. We like to make a big backlog.
Yeah, well, things are already going to have to slow down right after this one, so it's a good thing we have them. Again, I would ask, what are you looking forward to? Because this plane crash is coming. But I know you want to see how Locke is healed, how Locke becomes a badass. So what are you looking forward to that's not Locke?
Well, that's the thing is, there's just not much to say because there's the big thing that's like covering it all. The plane crash is going to happen, and all these characters are going to interact, and it's like...
what I mean is, who, like, arcs or something, what do you want to see happen on the island for these people where they are in their journeys?
Okay, I'm gonna give a blanket thing to there's obviously characters like Jack and Claire and Anna and Sawyer when I want to see them talk because there's things I want them to know.
Right. That's
And
everybody wants to see that.
yeah, so that's obviously, and it's hard to say. I guess one way I'll put it is, I want to see them meet Desmond and Juliet. I want to see, I want to see how they connect to the main cast. I think I mentioned last episode that I expect Juliet leaves because she wants the opportunity to get away from the others. I'm gonna mention something here that is not relevant, but Juliet, during the time travel, she spoke Latin, and she mentioned, yeah, the others speak Latin. It's their elegant language, which seems like Jacob's influence, but we have never, ever seen the modern others speaking Latin.
Yeah, see...
Are they supposed to be... Are they supposed to be implied to be, but we're just seeing it in English?
No, they're speaking in English. The thing about that is, when she says, oh, all the others know Latin, that's the first time that comes up.
Of course.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just kind of hard to say what things I want to see because there's so many possibilities, it's hard to even point them out. Like, do I want to see Jin and Hurley interact? Yes. Do I want to see Echo and Sawyer interact? Yes. Do I want to see Claire and Michael interact? Yes, like, any possibility is an interesting one here. It's the ultimate crossover.
Okay, so for ones that aren't going to have information relating to people, like, say, again, Anna and Jack, or Sawyer and Kate through Cassidy.
Yeah.
So what is the pairing that you want to see the most that doesn't have an external connection?
It's still so hard to narrow down because of how many possibilities there are. I guess if I'm just gonna try and let's start from Locke. Who do I want to see interact
I was
with
about
Locke
to say the two most interesting ones that everybody loves. They both involve Locke, so I think you're gonna like that.
Yeah. So who is interesting to see interact with Locke? Well, the thing is, I can think of who's interesting to see interact with badass Locke, but who's also interesting to see interact with current Locke.
Well, think about this. Locke is paralyzed, and there's a spinal surgeon.
Oh yeah, that'll definitely be cool.
And also, Ben has a tumor on his spine, and Jack's a spinal surgeon.
Well, of course, I talked about that last episode. I know that's gonna go somewhere. I want to see. So yeah, Locke and Jack is an obvious choice. Oh, see this. I'm sorry, but this is such a hard thing to answer. Because there's just so many possibilities, and I'm not including ones who are gonna show up later. Like, I'm not including Daniel because he's not there yet, and I'm not including Richard because I don't think anybody's gonna immediately meet Richard.
Right.
I mean, I guess I want to see Kate and Sawyer start to develop their relationship.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Or I mean, will Kate and Saeed be able to relate with feeling like they've done bad things? Echo too. I don't know if I'm not sure if those are relationships that feel like they'd be explored, but there is the possible connection here. Echo included, and it's Sawyer included. Or Sawyer, he's got a large personality. I feel like it'd be interesting to see him bounce off people. Like Sawyer and Hurley,
I will say, just in terms of comedy,
I feel like
Sawyer and Hurley are the funniest duo.
I feel like Sawyer is kind of gonna say rude things to Hurley, but then Hurley's gonna kind of be able to not mind.
Yeah.
Hurley's gonna be unfazed. Hurley's not gonna let someone like Sawyer put him down.
Right. Now, here's a question I'm gonna ask you, because Jin does not know English. So who other than Sun do you want to see him interact with?
See, I feel like... Because, I've mentioned, I think language barrier stuff is fun to see, and obviously he's probably going to end up having to talk through Sun. I wonder if Jin might be able to relate to Michael in an interesting way. Because, I think Jin would want a kid, not on the island, but in general, and Michael is dealing with that.
Okay, Jin and Michael.
Maybe same... Claire is also maybe an interesting possibility there. And I feel like Hurley... I mean... You can easily say Hurley and anyone will be interesting because it's Hurley. But, Hurley and Jin might be fun because Hurley would kind of be kind to him even with the language barrier.
Right, okay. So, I'm not going to make you dive into your brain more than this.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's a hard thing to answer.
It is. I mean, there's lost of so many fucking characters, honestly.
I want to see all of it.
Yeah, so I know the duos and the pairs that are going to be... the fan favorites. other than, again, I've given away Sawyer and Hurley, are just there, not for, plot dynamics so much, but just as comedy.
You know what? One more.
Okay.
One more. Who do I think Desmond will really interact with?
Well,
I could
he's
see
already
some
met
Desmond.
Jack, so
yeah,
they know each
and
other.
I could see some more. I could see some more Desmond Jack, just because like Desmond is a guy they're gonna find who is in this facility, and Jack is the leader.
Yep.
And then who's?
Yeah, who is Desmond?
I wonder. I think it'll be. I think it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I don't even know if they'll find Desmond during season 1. Desmond and Juliet might be interesting. I mean, they both. I wonder just like what the others would think of him there and what he'd think of the others. Kate and Desmond, maybe or Jack and Desmond, just because they've lost the person they loved.
Yeah, and they know each other, so.
Yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, Desmond can ask, "How did it go with that girl?" Because he was assuming it was a romantic thing, even though at the time it wasn't.
He married her, though. He married her, so.
And Jack's gonna be like, "Oh, we got married," and then I pushed my dad in an AA meeting. And one last one,
Okay.
Echo and Charlie, because drugs.
Yes, that's a good connection there.
They are the two who have a connection to the plane. Although Echo's is obviously stronger than Charlie's.
Right, yeah, I was going to ask you. I was like, who do you think would be good for Charlie? Just because I know you don't like him.
Yeah, and I guess I kind of want to see Charlie. I mean, I don't... Because I dislike Charlie, but I don't think the writers dislike Charlie. So I would want to see Charlie, like, get bullied by Sawyer or something. But then I don't think I'll get that.
See, I thought you were going to say,
but then again,
get clean. But...
Well, I mean, I'm kind of not optimistic for him to get clean when I know there's a lot of drugs on this island.
Well, it depends on when they find them. He's only got that little baggie of heroin with him.
Yeah, maybe he kind of gets clean and then that's just the temptation. Or, maybe the people who are doctors would have some feelings on a drug addict, Jack and Juliet. They're going to be like, yeah. Or, Jack and Juliet. Great spinal surgeon. Great, what kind of doctor specifically she is, I'm not sure.
Would it be OBGYN or something?
Yeah, sure. But also she's kind of research focused. But Jack and Juliet, I just kind of want to see the two doctors talk.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Or here, random... Okay, see, we tried to transition out and be done, and now I am thinking of more.
Okay.
But
no,
this is a very random connection where it might not manifest in an actually interesting relationship. But Hurley and Boone, the two formerly rich guys.
Well, they're not...
Or Sun, too, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, their money is kind of no value on the island, that's why I say formerly.
That's very true.
But then Sun, too, the rich trio.
That's funny. Yeah, I was gonna ask. I was like, who do you think Boone would have a dynamic with that's not Shannon? Who do you think Shannon will have a dynamic with that's not Boone?
Oh man, Shannon.
You're never gonna guess.
I feel like Shannon, based off of recent events, like what she did to Saeed, I feel like she is gonna be frustrating, and I'm not sure if she'll get redeemed or not, or if she's just gonna be that frustrating character. Shannon and Saeed, there's kind of something for them to be like, you, because I feel like if Saeed remembers her, he's gonna be like, I mean, they're on an island, it's not that worth getting mad about, but he still has reason to get mad at her.
What I'm gonna say is, I can't believe you guessed that one. I'm not gonna say anything for any of the other ones, but you guessed that one, and I never thought you would, so I have to give it up for that.
Wow. Well, come on, I mean, there is a basis there, there's something to go off of where...
That's true, although, they didn't write that scene until the end of season 1, so...
Yeah. Or how about, Ana Lucia is a former cop, and we have a lot of criminals. I mean, I've kind of been assuming that the Marshal is not going to survive the crash. If he does, he's not going to survive very long.
Well, if he's literally sitting next to Kate, and she's going to survive, so...
Maybe. Well, okay, maybe there'll be Marshal stuff, because I feel like if the Marshal tries to still be like, oh no, you don't go out of my sight when they're literally deserted on an island, he's just an idiot and a dick. So anyway, Ana Lucia is a former cop. How would she feel about some of the criminals, like Sawyer and Kate? Although I'm not going to get her in season 1, I guess.
I'm not saying you won't get her in season... You will. There's flashbacks
Oh,
with her
well,
in
yeah.
season 1.
Yeah, but I don't think she's going to be with the main group in season 1, unless other people were also not with the main group. In fact, I kind of have a random prediction here.
Okay.
So, what was her name again? The one who tried to kill Jin?
The one who tried to kill Jin?
Jin. During the time travel.
Oh, Rousseau. Danielle Rousseau.
Yeah. Danielle Rousseau. So, I kind of didn't expect her stuff to even be a backstory until you kind of mentioned during that episode, this is a backstory. So I kind of know she's going to show up.
Still on the island. Like, she can't leave.
So that's kind of, what I kind of gathered is this is someone who has been living on her own as a recluse on the island. At some point, the main cast is going to interact with her, but what if somebody kind of, like, what if Ana Lucia is separated from everyone, but the person she ends up finding and living with for a while is Danielle Rousseau? Like, oh, she got found by some hermit and is who helped her survive.
That would be very interesting.
Or, maybe Ana Lucia ends up with Desmond or anything. Who knows? Because
Desmond gets Ana Lucia to push the button.
But no, I think he already failed to push the button. I mean, I don't know. Is that still gonna? I guess that might still be a job that needs doing. I feel like there's still more stuff I have to think of with Saeed that I haven't. I feel like there's more potential there. I just don't know where.
Okay. Who do you think Claire's going to interact with that's not, Jack?
I'm obviously hoping for Jack, but so Claire is going to give birth. Juliet. I don't think Juliet will be there because Juliet said every child she delivered on the island died. And yeah, this one will survive because it was mostly not on the island.
She's 8 months pregnant at this point.
But I still think because Juliet said that, there isn't going to be an exception. So, like, maybe Jack will deliver the baby. Juliet won't be there yet. I mean, maybe she'll interact later. Maybe they'll still interact, but I don't think... I'm not predicting Juliet delivers that baby. Claire... We have this idea of motherhood, where... Will Sun find a connection there? Because Sun was thought about whether or not she wants to be a mother. Who would... People have got to help take care of the baby.
Well, she was not prepared to raise this baby, and Michael was not prepared to raise Walt.
Oh, yeah. See, you should have let me figure that out on my own.
I'm just throwing things out.
Connection.
Listen, I'm not, other than the Shannon and Saeed one, which I just had to give it up because how did you guess that? I'm not gonna spoil what any of the actual dynamics are. I'm just trying to throw out connections.
You're not. But I still just wanted to notice that connection on my own.
Well, my bad.
Who's gonna? I feel like this isn't really a connection to Claire so much as just who's gonna get scenes where they're helping take care of the baby. I kind of feel like I could see Jack doing that. I could see Kate doing that. I could see Hurley doing that. I could see Jin and Sun doing that.
Well, I know who does that, and not going to say who.
I could not see Charlie doing that. Unless it kind of makes Charlie think, wow, I want a kid someday, and makes him realize he got to get his shit together. Who's Boone going to interact with? The thing is, are they going to keep doing this fucking incest thing, or can we just get a Boone romance with someone else, please?
Well, Shannon said after they had sex that they're going to go back to how it used to be, so...
Yeah, but they clearly are not going to get to do that. So maybe that should tell me. I mean, there's not that many female characters here, and I think I can't see any of them with Boone. I don't think Claire would be interested in Boone. That just doesn't feel right to me. Kate, obviously not. Ana Lucia, also obviously not. And I think if anyone, she'd be interested in Jack. Juliet, obviously not. Sun, obviously not. Yeah, there's not really anyone for Boone here.
Yeah. Even though he is quite handsome. Well, there's a lot to look forward to, and we're kind of going on here because it'll be a while before we see the next couple episodes for us. But
yeah,
I hope that you will join us, which will hopefully still just be next week, where we will be covering episode 26, September 22nd, 2004, part 2, and episode 27, September 23rd, 2004, day 2. So, please...
Oh, yeah, because of course, there's going to be tons of stuff on the first day.
Absolutely. So, I hope you join us next time.